Hello everyone. Welcome to my video on planetary descriptions and indications. These descriptions and indications are from three texts: Brihat Parasara Horus Shastra, Jataka Parijata, and Jaimini Sutram. Those are the three, and I'm going to go through all of the planets. I'll probably break these videos up into 2 or 3 videos so they won't be too long. And I'm going to start with the myths first, because myths really show kind of the psychological and emotional issues behind the planet and its indications in our own psyches. So and it really helps us to understand the planet on multi-levels. It's not just what the planet produces or the environments or the body parts or any of that, which I am going to get into as well. But first I'm going to start with the myths, and then I'm going to go more into what these planets signify out in the material phenomenal world. Okay? Alrighty, so let's start with the sun. Okay, so the sun is the first planet, and the sun rules number 1, okay? And the sun is the pure masculine force in creation. It is the pure creative force. And the myth of the sun is he was married to a woman named Samjna. Samjna. That is my pronunciation of it. I'm sorry if I'm murdering the Sanskrit, but that's my best pronunciation. So anyway, Samjna means consciousness. So the sun was married to consciousness, okay? And consciousness could not take his light. It was too much for her. It penetrated places in her psyche that she did not want to face. And that's because the sun represents the soul. And the soul really is a particle of the source or of God, if you know, whatever you want to call it. So, so this particle, this soul with its rays penetrated her consciousness. And she couldn't take it. There was nowhere she could hide. She could not hide anything about herself. So she ran away from the sun, and she went to the woods and the forest to meditate and to lose herself in meditation. And she told one of her handmaidens to pretend like she was her and pretend to be the sun's wife while she was gone, so he wouldn't notice she was gone. So that happened, and the woman, the handmaiden that she told to be with the sun, her name is Chaya, or Shadow. So Shadow married the sun, or pretended to be his wife, consciousness, and they had some children, and one of their children was Saturn. Okay, and so that's not really relevant to the myth until we get to the myth of Saturn, but the sun eventually found out that his wife had left, and she had replaced her with Chaya, Shadow. So he went to his father-in-law, and his father-in-law said, "I'll shave your rays off. I'll make your rays smaller so it will be more comfortable for your wife, and then she'll come back." So that's what happened. He had to sacrifice a lot of his rays. And then his wife came back to him. And so the moral of the story, as it goes, is the sun represents where we sacrifice in life. The sun is the soul, and we don't really connect with the soul in this material world unless we're some type of yogi or sadhu or saint. We interact with phenomena with our minds, much more so than our soul. Obviously, the soul enlivens and energizes the mind, but the mind is what we interact with. We interact with creation in our individuality. The soul is like a particle of God. It's pure. It's completely pure. There's no hang-ups. There's no psychological issues. None of that. And that's one of the reasons why Vedic astrology in the Vedic system, relationship compatibility is based on the moon, not the sun at all, period. So, excuse me. So anyway, so the sun represents the soul and sacrifice. So whatever house placement, wherever the sun is placed in a horoscope, is where we sacrifice in life, okay? And usually where it's placed in a horoscope, the house placement, is where we're separated from initially. We're initially separated from whatever house, the indications of that house where the sun is placed. So, and then we attempt to perfect that house and reach perfection in that area of life, because the sun is perfection. The sun is the soul. So, and we put a lot of our effort into that. Now, planets join the sun are sacrificed. So in the Vedic system, they say any planet that is near the sun is called angry, kopi, or frustrated. It's frustrated because when a planet is with the sun, it's, the rays are so bright that every part of that planet, all of the negative qualities of that planet are also come to light. And the planet tries to perfect whatever its indications are, so much so when it's with the sun. And the sun just shows you can't perfect it. I'm the perfect one. So, for instance, Venus is a lot of times with the sun because it's so close to the sun, Venus and Mercury. They're oftentimes very much conjoin the sun in the same sign. So, Venus will try to meet the perfect love. Or Mercury will try to have the perfect friends or the perfect intellect. And they can't reach that perfection. The sun will always show them their imperfection. So they are angry or kopi, frustrated. So that's planets joining the sun. And then you have planets in houses. So for example, if the sun is in the first house, usually the person isn't that in touch with their body. They're very independent-minded. They want to do their will and their way, but they're not that in touch with their bodies. But later in life, they become very in touch with their body, and they want to develop their body, and they want their body to be perfect. They develop their health and their physiques and that kind of thing. So that's the sun in the first house. If you have the sun in the fifth house, the sun will separate you from your children at first. You want to perfect your children and your relationship with your children. You'll want to perfect your creativity and your creative drive. The fifth house is the house of spiritual methods, okay? And spiritual practices like mantras, saying mantras, or meditating on yantras, or, across religions, whatever it may be, doing your rosary if you're Catholic. So you're trying to perfect the spiritual practice. That's another way the sun will manifest in the fifth house. So wherever the sun is, it usually separates us from that thing initially for a while, and then we really strive to perfect that area of life. Okay? All right, so that's one thing about the sun. And very important thing. Okay, so a name for the sun is the Sarva Atman, the pure Atman, or the pure self. And through the sun we feel our intuitive, soul-like nature. We feel our inspiration. Okay, the sun represents the body in its entirety and the health of the body in its entirety. It also represents the skeletal system, and the reason that is because the sun is the foundation, and the skeleton is the foundation of the body. This is a little different than Western astrology, where Saturn rules the skeleton and the teeth. In Vedic system, the sun rules the bones and the teeth, okay? Okay, so like I said, when planets are with the sun, they feel frustrated or angry. They don't even have to be combust, which means they're in within, you can't see them, they're so close to the sun's rays. Just being conjoined the sun or in the same sign with the sun, which is the Vedic way. So yeah, that's it. The sun is a purifier. So along with the skeletal system, the sun rules the immune system. He rules the bones, the skeleton, and also the immunity, sometimes the T cells and that kind of thing. And actually a lot of the white blood cells and that sort of thing too. And the sun is a purifier. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but when some people get out into the sun and they get tan, you know, after a long winter, or you know, they haven't been in the sun for a while, they break out in acne. You know, they get acne or they get zits, whatever. And it's the sun will purify. It will prod the body to release toxins. Okay, and also the vitamin D. We need it prods the body to increase vitamin D. So that's a good thing about the sun. He's a purifier because he is pure. He's absolutely pure. Alrighty, so because the sun separates us from things of this world, he is considered to be malefic. And in the Vedic system, the sun is malefic. It's not really that way in the Western system, but in the Vedic system, he is. He's not a malefic like Saturn or Rahu, which are first-rate malefics, but he is a mild malefic. So, just so you know that, okay? In the planetary kingdom, the sun rules the king, or, you know, the major ruler, the president, the prime minister, whatever the major ruler of that country is, that is ruled by the sun. The sun also rules government service and government jobs, politicians, all politicians, okay? The sun rules steadfastness and loyalty. So when someone has a good sun, they stay steadfast and they stay loyal to whatever they're doing. You know, a person who wants to succeed in a business really has to stay steadfast in that business and loyal to that business to watch it succeed over time. When you see an afflicted sun, the person's kind of just flitting here and there. They can't really make up their mind. They'll do something for a while and then they'll get bored with it and go to something else, or they'll get easily discouraged because they'll say, oh, this isn't working out. You know, they'll meet an obstacle and say, forget it, and then move on to something else. That is indicative of a weaker sun, okay? So the sun is self-confidence. The sun is self-confidence as opposed to self-worth. There is a difference. You can have a lot of confidence, but you don't necessarily have a lot of self-worth or know the value of yourself. And I'll get into that more when we talk about the signs and house placements. Venus is more self-worth. Venus knows the value of things. The sun is out there being confident, you know, walking with a stride and just being, you know, here I am, kind of like a lion, right? So, all right, I already said the sun is a masculine planet. Okay, as a caste, the caste of the sun. Since you think the sun is the king, he must be a Brahmin, right? Nope, he's not. He is a Kshatriya. The sun is a warrior. He's a warrior caste. And the warrior caste or the Kshatriya caste, their main inspiration is to lead and to protect others. All right. The sun is a sattvic planet, so its motivation comes from inspiration and truth. All of his actions come from inspiration rather than fear, compulsion, or habit. Okay, and this is based on the gunas, the 3 gunas, and they operate from motivations rather than from the actions themselves. All right, the sun represents the foundation, I already said that. The sun's place of residence. Where does the sun live? He lives in churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, any place of worship. That's where the sun lives. Okay? And that's why on Sundays, you know, most people go to church or go to their place of worship. In the home, the sun rules that place of the home that's considered to be the altar or the meditation room, or, you know, that sort of thing. The sun is said to live in forested mountains. Okay? So if the sun is influencing someone's environment, then that person can live in the woods or in the mountains. As far as taste goes, the sun rules the pungent, hot taste, obviously, because the sun is hot, okay? And he rules spices that are hot and that cause heat in the body. In the plant kingdom, the sun rules stout plants and trees that are harvested for lumber, okay? Now, the sun produces the father. He's not the only planet that produces the father. He produces the father in the sense of the man who guides you with his authority and guides you with, inspires you to do things as you grow older. That is the father in the sun sense. Another planet that produces the father is Venus. And Venus produces the father in our genetic line. That's what Venus rules. So Venus can, you know, it's a father who doesn't know their children, and he just gives his genetic line, his DNA to those children. That is the father, or the paternal Y DNA line. That is the father in the Venus, the Venetian sense. The father in the sun sense is the father who guides you and socializes you, okay? It's the guiding masculine force, and he'll give us confidence and steadfastness. And that is also the active role of the father, okay? Now, the sun is said to have the form of a bird, and so Mercury rules all animals. Okay, Mercury rules the animal kingdom, but within the animal kingdom, there's lots of different animals, right? In that sense, the sun rules birds. So also now in Venus rules all different types of vehicles. Venus rules all vehicles, but within that category of vehicles, the sun rules airplanes. Okay. Okay, so the sun looks upward as he looks to things that he's inspired by. The sun has a drying influence, so he can influence a climate. If he's influencing the climate you live in, you could live in the desert, okay? And then if he's influencing a part of the body, he can dry out that part of the body. So if you have dry hair, dry skin, you know, a dry mouth, whatever it is, the sun can dry out. He's a very drying influence. He's not the only one. I'll get into more as we go through the planets, but he's definitely a drying influence, okay? So here are some things that, I went over most of them, but I'll just say them again. So all of these things that I've mentioned that the sun produces, he produces titles and status and power, okay? Obviously that's linked to politicians and to the ruler of the country and the government and that kind of thing. And now all of these things are not solely produced in the natal chart. The natal chart is mainly a person's body and the path that body walks on in this incarnation. That's what the natal chart is. All of the other charts, all of the divisional charts, which are extremely important in Vedic astrology, they produce something unique. So the sun in the 10th divisional chart, the 10th divisional chart is the chart of career, okay? So it's going to show our status and our power and the titles we earn in our career, in our influence in the world. In the Rashi, or the natal chart, the sun will produce our body and our skeletal and immune system, okay? And in my course that I've developed, I've written a manual and I've listed all of the Varga charts, or all the divisional charts, and everything that's the sun produces in those charts. Okay? Okay, now, as far as professions go, this is Jaimini, okay? The sun gives the profession of a singer. He can give that profession of a singer, okay? And that's because when you go see someone, you go see a band, usually it's the singer you remember. It's the singer you put your attention on. He is the light, or she is the light that you see, first. So that's the sun. Okay, so and Jaimini says the sun will make a person knowledgeable of the Vedas. And this makes sense because in those days, the Vedas and other texts, other poems were sung. You would sing these, and singing had a connotation of devotion to it. You devoted yourself to your guru or your spiritual teacher or these spiritual texts, and you would sing them. So that's another reason the sun's a singer. Okay. Now, as far as like when Jaimini has a whole section of, and I just did some videos on this. Jaimini has a section of being able to ascertain the spouse, as does Parasara. He does as well. But Jaimini specifically goes into this. And he says when the sun is either in the 7th from the Atmakaraka or is your Dara Karaka, the sun can give a wife who belongs to someone else or is already married or in a relationship, or he can give someone who is of the same race. And I talked about this a little bit in the last video I did on relationships. Raza means essence, okay? That's the word used. And in those days, it was a given you would marry somebody of your own race or someone in your own country or your village. It was just a given. To point out that you were going to marry someone of your own race doesn't really make sense to me because, it was about 90% of the people did that, all right? So what I would say is that it means somebody who thinks the same way you do, who is interested in the same things, who has the same inspiration, who has the same soul nature, intuitive nature, that kind of thing, all right? And I could give some examples. Jane Fonda is a good example of this. I don't know if you want to look at her chart, but that shows what kind of person you marry, okay? Alrighty, so the sun is exalted in Aries, debilitated in Libra, and in his Mula Trikona sign of Leo. Does very well in Leo. Now, I'm not going to go through the dignities because, that's pretty available information, and I've included all of that in my manual that I've written on my website, which you can download. And this video is part of a series of videos of all the planets, and which I'm going to make into a course. So this video will only be available on YouTube for so long, and then I'm going to take it off YouTube. It's going to be a full course. Okay? So that's it for the sun today, and tune in next time for Moon, Mars, and so on. Okay? Thanks very much. Have a great day, and next time.